This is Gilbert Andrew Garcia of A Tip from Gilbert, talk, inspiration, and prayer. Listen to my show every Monday from 11 to 12 on KWWJ 1360 AM, KYOK 1140 AM, KCOH at 1230 KCOH.com, Sankeet Radio at 95.1 FM, 1460 AM, and Latino Sports, KEYH 850 AM. Call in at 832-570-8075 and follow me on social media. See you then. All right, Houston, this is Gilbert Garcia of another episode of A Tip from Me, talk, inspiration, and prayer. Happy to be here. We've got a great thank you studio audience. We have a great guest. And first, what's been going on in the world? All I know is congratulations to the administration. Everybody knows I'm a Democrat, but you got to call them like you see them. Congratulations to the peace going on in the Middle East. And thank goodness they're releasing these hostages. And I mean, let's just all pray that somehow this will last and that we'll reach a real solution, whatever that might be for the people there in that neck of the woods in that part of the country. So congratulations for President Trump, because he's been working on it. And thank goodness. And for the administration there and Israel and for everybody involved. And I saw some of the trucks being brought in for food, etc. Thank God that is happening to those people in Gaza. And you bet, it's just a tough situation. So I just congratulate the administration. And we'll just see where it goes. Let's keep our fingers crossed. Meanwhile, of course, we still do not have a working government, or we have a working government. They're just not working in Washington. And again, everyone's to blame, so let's not get into all the blame game. At the end of the day, all that matters is federal workers are not able to work, and hopefully they will get their back pay and all of those things. It's up in the air, so it seems. But we will find out more about it. And, of course, today we have our guest, Miss Ann Friedman. Ann, welcome. And it turns out I know Ann's husband. So, because he's been very involved in the community for decades. And he was the head of the Sports Authority for a long time. His name is Kenny Friedman. What a great guy he is.
Thank you. I think so.
Well, you know what? He's lucky to have you, though. But, no, he's really been around. He's been, I know he was, actually goes back to probably Bill White, Mayor White's.
Oh, well before that.
But I know he was a real close confidant of Mayor Bill White. And I know because I was close to Mayor
Bob Lanier.
Bob Lanier, okay.
Fred Hoffines.
Oh my gosh, come on.
Yes.
Those are names that go back in this glorious history of Houston.
Yes.
How wonderful. Well, let's talk about you, because I know that you're the director of the Workplace Wellness for Mental Health. Let me ask you this. How widespread are mental health issues here in Houston?
Well, I assume it's like the rest of the country. So about 1 in 5 have mental illnesses, including...
1 in 5?
Yes, have mental disorders that are diagnosable. So that's over 60 million Americans.
That's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
And let me ask you this. This is a really dumb question, but, I'm just trying to learn this. Has it always been, say, the same percentage, or is today's times and the way we live today versus 100 years ago causing all this stress in our lives? I mean, is it just generally the same?
Well, we didn't keep statistics 100 years ago,
what do you
right?
think? Well, what do you think?
I think things have changed. I personally think things have changed, and that our brains can't keep up with what we've developed with technology and with culture moving so quickly. People are moving away from each other. We used to be close to our relatives, living in community and getting a lot of support. Now families are all dispersed around the country. People are isolated. Loneliness is a crisis in our country.
Very interesting. Well, when I look at myself, and I'm just, a regular Gilbert, as they say. They used to say regular Joe, but I can say a regular Gilbert. I'm overwhelmed these days with information. I'm overwhelmed. Yeah. And if I am, all America has to be, because I'm just a regular Gilbert. And at the end of the day, I probably get now, part of it is work related, part of it is just, family related, part of it is junk. But at the end of the day, I probably get 400 emails a day. And I try my best to figure it out, because there's always one or two from a client. And if I don't find it or see it, they expect you to go through all the emails. People just expect you. And now there's all this stuff I'm getting on, sometimes on text messaging, and it's just overwhelming.
Yes. And our brains can't take it all in.
I know mine can't.
No, none of our brains can.
Yeah. And so, mental health has been in my family. Now, I don't quite know what mental health is. I'm going to give you the go and tell everybody what it is. But I know that high anxiety has been in my family. And, you don't think about it till you have it. And like, for example, my grandmother couldn't really drive a car because the car and the freeway, and this is Corpus Christi, Texas. How busy is Corpus Christi, Texas compared to Houston, Texas? But at the end of the day, she was very uncomfortable driving a car.
Yes.
And then my dad had high anxiety. My sister does. And you know what? I have some as well. That's why if you look at me, if you look at me, go ahead, look at all this. I did hair and makeup today. It took me all of 35 seconds. No, but when you look at me, I like to go to the same places because I get afraid of getting lost. And whenever I go out with my wife, and we're empty nesters now, and of course I'm miserable without my Juju, my daughter. She was the last one, and she just went to U Chicago a couple of weeks ago, and it's just, really hard for me. But whenever we go out together, my wife always drives because I'd rather her drive.
Yeah.
Is that common?
Yeah.
I mean, I hope I don't feel like, oh God, that's a one-off. No, I mean, it's really something. And whenever I'm driving and I don't know where I'm at, I start like, I'm breathing hard, my heart's racing, and all of a sudden I'm not paying attention, and then I could like have an accident or something.
Right. So whether or not yours would
does that
qualify for a full disorder, I don't know. I'm not here to diagnose you. But what I will tell you is that people do have a lot of anxiety, whether or not they meet criteria for the diagnosis of anxiety disorders, and there are many of them. Mm-hmm. So what we do know is that anxiety and depression are on the rise in this country.
No kidding.
Hugely, yes.
Hold that thought. I want to go back to depression in a second. I want to go back to, you can think about this as we get this caller, is how do you recognize it in somebody? In other words, if you see someone and you think they have depression, how do you, I don't know the right word, have an intervention, or do you just watch them to make sure nothing goes bad? Hold that thought, that answer. We have a Junior on the line. Junior, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, my friend. You got me and Friedman. We're talking about sort of mental health issues and right now we're talking about how to really see it, how to really diagnose it, how do you help people. But what do you got for us, Junior?
I don't know what worked for everybody else, but I know what worked for Junior.
Tell us.
I used to suffer from anxiety quite a bit, man, and anxiety ain't no joke, brother. I mean, anxiety, man. And I just started looking at what am I doing to cause myself to have anxiety. When you sit around like I used to do and watch the news all day long, just violence here, violence there, negative here, negative there, that stuff wears on you. I mean, it wears on me. And I found myself, I just watch the news maybe once a day now, maybe twice a day. And that's it for me. I try to focus on hanging out with my grandson, doing projects with him more because that's more important, man. But the whole problem I have with us as human beings, we believe too much of the hype. Y'all ever notice when y'all go out in public, everybody looking at their cell phone? Mm-hmm. People don't have human interaction anymore. It's like everybody got that scared look on their face because they believe in all the negative stuff that's going on. People don't much even say good morning no more.
Well, Junior, hold that thought because you hit my family real hard here, which is great. Which is whenever we go out to lunch or dinner, we always have a rule, Ann, which is no phones at the table.
That is the best rule you can have,
right? Because and it's funny when you're at a restaurant now, you look around. Nobody's talking. They're all eating, but they're just staring at their phone. And Junior, I got to the point where I just said, we just can't do this. No phones at the table.
It's the best rule.
Do you see that as one of the big causes?
It is one of the big problems. And I want to congratulate Junior for realizing that he was going down in terms of feeling more depressed and whatever. And I do recommend people don't sit and watch the news all day, every day. It is really upsetting, and it's designed to be that way. And what he's doing instead is connection, which is a huge need for us humans. We need to connect, and he's doing projects with his grandchild. We need to be active to boot. Sitting there on electronics is not being active. So, Junior, keep it up. You're doing the right things.
How wonderful. And Junior, I get it too. Thank you for Houston for supporting Junior. Junior, I get it because, in my family, there is anxiety. And I want to ask Ann later, but I want to keep you on the phone here, Junior, which is it hereditary, or is it something that, again, the outside influences, cell phones, news, makes you have these sort of mental issues? Or is it hereditary? Because I think it's hereditary, at least in my family. But, Junior, do you have anything else before I turn it back over to Ann?
No, I'm going to hang up in a second. I just want to leave you with this, Gilbert. I think it is hereditary because I found myself doing the exact same things that my parents did back when I was coming up, and I found out, man, that don't always work. You don't have to whoop your kid for every little thing they do, man. You can learn how to reason with kids. And lastly, Gilbert, if you, like I said before, man, if you run for mayor, I will vote for you because you do more to me for the black radio stations than a lot of people that look like me. So just keep up the great work, man. You always put your money where your mouth is. A lot of people do a lot of talking, but you never see them nowhere. So thank you, Gilbert, and thank you so much for your guest also. Thanks.
Well, Junior, thank you. You're a gentleman. I'm hugging the phone right now in cyberspace. Thank you, Junior. You're a great man. Thank you for calling. I hope you call in again. Let's go back. I know there's another caller, but I want to go back to you, if you don't mind, Ann, which is, what say you? How much of it is hereditary?
We do know that it is partially hereditary and can be developed without that. Okay, either way. Mm-hmm. But we do know it comes down that in our DNA, basically we have little receptors. And if you had a parent or grandparent who was super anxious, their receptors were stronger, and now they're stronger in you. But what we also know is that the more we feed it, meaning the more we get caught up in our anxiety, the more those receptors really strengthen. And if we do other practices, we can actually begin to calm them and blunt them a little bit more, where they aren't as reactive.
Very interesting. It's fascinating. Is this all part of the human brain, or is it the nervous system? I mean, where does it really happening?
Yeah, so in your brain, you've got your sympathetic nervous system. So whenever you have a perceived threat, and it can be as simple as I'm in an area of Houston, I don't know where I am. For some people, that can be a threat. And what happens is you have one of three reactions: fight, flight, or freeze. And so it drops cortisol and adrenaline into the body to prepare us for a threat. But it's really not a threat that you just don't happen to know this neighborhood. Yep. But the brain is treating it like a bear's chasing you.
Very interesting. That is fascinating because I really resonate with all that just because I have it.
Yeah.
And I don't know the degree, so I don't know on a scale of 1 to 10, but I know one thing. When I'm in a place where I'm a different city, if I'm driving, that's why thank God for Uber for me and Lyft, because when I would have to in the old days, because you could never really get a cab in some cities outside of like New York and where you can get Chicago where you can get cabs. But, I would rent a car. And that was like the worst thing possible for me.
Yeah.
Because, there I am and, I'm getting nervous and I can feel my heart beating. Let's hold that thought. Well, you got something to say. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's the cortisol in your body making your heart beat. You're probably clenching your jaw. You're clenching the steering wheel. Your shoulders are up to your ears. You've got all this tension. And it's from cortisol in your body.
And cortisol, is that cortisol?
Yes.
And what is that? Is that what is that?
It's a stress chemical that we need that gives us energy to get away if we're in danger. So this part of our brain keeps us safe because if we're in danger, we need to do something. We need to react. And we either get away or we fight back or we freeze in the moment and it's like a deer in headlights. But we need to process that stress cortisol over time, because if it keeps dumping and we keep sitting with it gets us sick.
Holy cow. We have another caller, but is my mic okay? I had a mic error there. But JT, are you there?
Yes, I am, Gilbert. Good morning.
JT, good morning to you. You got me and you have Miss Ann Friedman, and we're here. We're talking about mental health. What do you got for us?
That's a good conversation, because it seems like, I hate to say it like this, Gilbert, but it seems like 3/4 of the people suffering from that. You talk to people and you don't know, they go off on you, and you don't know what to say. Even if you look at them a different way on the freeway, it's just that's a mental illness that these people are dealing with, and it's a number of things I believe that can cause all this mental illness. And it's just crazy out here now. I mean, it's a crazy world now, but they need help. I remember a place up not too far from, I grew up in East Texas, and it was a place we had to go through that town to get to Houston. It was called Rush, Texas. And they were paying people, they would pay you to bring people there. That was back in the day. But now they don't have room for people there anymore. They pay you just to take them away from there now. I don't know, but I knew there was a time when I was growing up. You didn't see all this. I know everybody wasn't perfect, but you didn't see that people were more together. People were concerned about you. They prayed for you. They did a whole lot of things together. It wasn't no perfect world, but it was something different back then than what it is now. People don't even talk with each other now. You're in a family. They don't talk to each other. And the pandemic showed that, how people were so distant from each other in the same household. But you know what? I know I'm gonna share this with you. Like Junior said about this, about the news. I don't even look at it, but if I look at it one time a day, I'm doing good. It was a time I looked at it off and on all day. I don't do that anymore. That will send you off on the deep end. Looking at, I can't stand it. I end up crying sometimes. But anyway, I'm gonna share this with you. I raised two children as a single parent. I was a widow at a young age, and a lot of things I didn't know, Gilbert, that I should have done that I didn't do. Sometimes I feel guilty, but if you don't know, you don't know. I should have had them in counseling and myself in counseling at a young age when they were young. But did nobody talk to me about that? They used to say counseling, oh, you crazy. They had that stigma. You crazy if you counsel. You crazy if you go to counseling. No, you're crazy if you don't go to counseling.
Well, don't leave, Miss JT. Don't leave, okay? Don't leave me yet, okay? Stay with me.
Don't do what now?
Stay with me. Stay with me on this phone call. I just want to ask Miss Ann something, because you said something that's very important, which is how much of the whole issue is people aren't getting any support or help because of this stigma that somehow, she mentioned the word, you're crazy. Or how do they not recognize that, you know what, I really need to take a breath and slow down, and maybe I need to seek some assistance. What do you see out there?
Yeah, so what JT just said is true. There was huge stigma in the past. Fortunately, that's getting less and less, meaning that we now have books for children, even talking about feelings to help kids understand. There are programs in schools now. The stigma is still there, and people are still sometimes afraid to come forward. Also, people don't know. So one of the things Mental Health America offers is a free mental health screening. Literally, you
wonderful.
can go on our website and take a little survey, and it will say, we think you've got an issue going on here. Then you can use our Care Connect program, and it can help you find a therapist very specifically in your neighborhood. You can even put in, I would like the therapist to be African American. I'd like them to be a Christian. I'd like them to take Blue Cross Blue Shield, or I need a therapist that needs that is pro bono, that will work with me for free because I don't have any money or insurance. And you can find therapists through our Care Connect program that's just been established.
Oh, how good! That is. We're going to go back to. And by the way, everyone who's watching this on the screen and everything else, and those of you who are going to see it Saturday on TV, and of course, I'm happy to report we're on 5 stations now. You're seeing the website right now. We're scrolling through it so you can see all the information. Ms. JT, you know, when you talked about all the news, etc., that's why I started the show, because everyone would tell me, and I would say to myself, frankly, I'm just tired of all the news and all this negativity. and you can either complain or you can try to do something. I was in a position to do something. So here I am. We're 3 years in, and it's been, I think, a good show, a good service for people, because my goodness, there are good things going on in Houston and Harris County and in the world, and we just need to talk about it, Miss JT.
Right. And you know, Gilbert, we need to, one thing that we need to do, not only just with children, we need to pay attention to people, period. People, you know what, the handwriting is fine is up there, but we go on about our business. Oh, well, they need to get over it. They need to do, I have heard people say that, and I said, that is so sad. I talk with people. I'm a very caring, talkative person, and I can look in your eyes and tell if something is going on, I guess because of the things that I've gone through with. But pay attention, especially to your children. It's out there. They be talking, oh, you need to get over it. Deliver me from people like that. And older people, they can't even, some of those older people can't even help each other, can't even help nobody, their own children, because they passed that wisdom up when they years ago, when they did not talk. We had a silent generation one time. My dad and them came from a silent generation, and my daddy said, I used to wonder why they didn't talk. They didn't let us express ourselves. Well, it's better to be seen than heard. That was out of ignorance. They said that. You better let those children talk to you. And my brother-in-law said how he got along with my sister and her husband, said how they did with their children growing up. They met at the table every day and talked about whatever was on their mind. How was school today? What did y'all do today? And I thought, man, that was so nice. But if we pay attention to these children more, and maybe be less killing and all this stuff. But you know what? We need to see, like I say, at an early age, a lot of things I didn't know, because I was a widow. I didn't know what to do and how to do. Even the people that taught my children, they couldn't tell you nothing until some of our older teachers, even then. But they couldn't tell you a whole lot of stuff. And I told a teacher one time, my daughter was just getting out of. My son don't even remember his dad, but the daughter was just getting out of kindergarten. Next year, the first grade teacher, I explained everything to her so she could work along with my daughter.
Well, you know what, Miss JT? I need to have you back again. I've got a couple of other callers and things to do, but Miss JT, will you call back again on the show?
Okay.
I mean, I want to have you because I think you got a lot to say, and I think you have a lot of insight and a lot of wisdom to share. So please call into the show more often.
And JT, I would say amen. It's all about caring about each other. We need to come back to that time where we truly listen to each other and have conversations in person.
Well, Miss JT, call us again, okay? Thank you, Miss JT. And let's go. She said a lot of things, and they were all very insightful. But I want to give you a moment, because I realized just now in that moment that let's go through all the things that your programs do and everything. Just go through that, because people need to know they're not alone, and that they can come to the organization, and that y'all have different ways to, I don't know the right word, but lead them to the right path to get better. Would you just go through everything and shoot to nuts? How many people do you have, and all the numbers and websites? Just go through it all.
Yeah, so Mental Health America of Greater Houston is part of a national organization called Mental Health America that does surveys about our country and its mental health, for example, and a lot of different programs. But at our group in Greater Houston, we do have, for example, what I mentioned, the Care Connect program. So if you are needing a therapist and you're clueless, but you think you're depressed, you can look up in your area a therapist that work with depression. It will tell you what kind of insurance they take. It will tell you, some of them might do sliding fee scale if you don't have insurance, or pro bono. It will say that. If you are overwhelmed in using the computer, we actually have 2 people on staff who will guide you through. And you can call 281-215-9988.
Say that one more time. 281
215
99
9988.
And what is that?
You will get a live person on the other end.
Boy, that's like, that in and of itself is a miracle now.
Yes.
Every time I turn around, there's always just, you got to go through this and that, and I don't know if it's AI or algorithms, or I don't know what it is, but you know what it is? It's not right.
No.
Because they make you go through a whole menu of stuff, and it wasn't even what you wanted to do in the first place.
Exactly.
But keep going. I mean to interrupt
And
you.
these people will walk you through. So let's say you've got a child who's on drugs, and you don't know if you should do an intervention, take them to a some kind of inpatient center, or how you should handle it. These people will help walk you through by asking you all the right questions. And if you're in crisis, of course, you want to call the 988 number, which is the all of Houston.
What is that?
It is the
hotline. I don't even know that number.
Call or text if you or someone else is suicidal. Get help now. Like it's beyond therapy. You need action now. You need to call or text 988.
988. Wow.
Yes.
When did that? Was that always been around?
No, it's been around a long time. I can't exactly tell you when it was started, but yeah, use it. Use it if you need it.
Well, let's go back to the whole organization, the mental health of Greater Houston. Y'all have one location? You have more than one location?
We have one location, and while I'm a psychologist and we do have some social workers and people on staff, we don't do the counseling in-house. I do a lot of work with companies, so I am the director of workplace wellness, and I go out into nonprofits, companies, hospitals, schools, to really go talk to them about sometimes it's on communication, sometimes it's on stress and burnout, conflict resolution, on when people aren't communicating, the us and them mentality that's going on in our culture. I work on all sorts of issues with companies to help bring people together and hopefully help them understand what they can do differently for their own mental health.
Let me ask you something. Obviously, Kenny's been around a long time in politics and everything.
Yes.
And so you probably have been too.
Yes.
By virtue of osmosis, or maybe he was learning from you. But at the end of the day, are things different today? I mean, have we always felt like, golly, the country's divided? Was it like that, I'm making this up, in the 70s? Was it like that in the 80s? I mean, or is it really like that now? Because it just seems so divisive. But maybe it's always been like that.
So we have definitely had periods. I mean, the Civil War, how much more divided could we get,
That's right?
So we've had it before. The difference is that we didn't have the media. We didn't have the technology where it was in our face, and then they were feeding us algorithms. So literally, if you're one side, you're just getting fed that side's version of the facts, and if you're on the other side, you're getting a completely different version of the facts. And it's actually aggravating, this us-them mentality. We've never had this with the technology like it is now.
That's terrible. It just feels... I became politically aware probably around 1980. That's when I got involved with Walter Mondale and all that. And I've just never seen it.
Yeah.
So difficult. And it's so interesting to me because it's permeated not just, the media, but now it's in the home. In other words, there are some friends of mine that are good friends, and sometimes I hear them, and I'm frightened at how different their views are in mine, and I just hear people have fear about things. It's very interesting to me, and it all comes back to we're just bombarding each other with negativity, which has got to be bad for our mental health. It's like a full circle.
Right. We've lost the ability to communicate, and we're communicating in ways that cause distrust. One of the ways that we communicate is to disown our perceptions. So if I walk in and say everyone should get vaccinated or vaccination should be optional, I'm not a scientist. Are you? Are you an epidemiologist? No. We're not saying, I've read this and I kind of think this from what I've read, but I'm just learning about it, and I'm certainly not a scientist. We're talking to each other like we're experts, and that we know the truth. And in fact, unless you are, you don't know.
What's interesting is the power of language.
Yes.
That's what I hear from you, which is the power of language, which is to, I don't want to say be careful, but the point is language is so powerful it can be used for good or it can be used for some negativity.
Yes, it can also often create distrust with each other. We're criticizing, we're judging, we're saying things as if we're the expert and they're wrong. And of course, the other person, it goes nowhere, those kind of conversations.
And what's interesting is because neither one of us are experts, it's just opinions. So there's no such thing as you're wrong. Your opinions just may be different than mine. That doesn't make mine better or worse than yours.
Exactly.
Very
and we
interesting.
used to be able to talk that way. We have differences, opinions, but we're still buddies. And
Yeah.
I hope we get back there.
You know what? We have to be. We've got to be.
Yeah.
Hold that thought. Is there a Diana on the line? Diana, are you there?
Hello. Hello.
Hello, Diana. Are you there?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Got me a tip from me. Talk, inspiration, and prayer.
I'm on the phone. I'm on the phone.
Can you hear me?
I cannot.
Okay, we cannot hear. We cannot hear. Let's just go to the next one. Isidro, are you there? Isidro, are you there? Isidro.
Oh.
We'll just come back to the next one. We'll just keep calling. Isidro, are you there?
A sus órdenes, yes.
Isidro, you got me, Gilbert Garcia, the tip for me with Miss Ann Friedman. We're talking about mental health issues today. What do you got for us?
Well, I heard some great dialogue concerning mutual respect. Can you hear me?
Yes, mutual respect. That is a good phrase. Keep going
Yes,
there,
sir.
my friend.
Yes, but for the fact that we have people like Doctor there that's an expert in that field, that just reaffirms what you have always been pushing. I mean, you get directly involved, Mayor, and you make no bones about it, and you talk about real issues, and sometimes it steps on people's toes, but you don't do it for that purpose. You do it to bring out facts, and if there's mutual respect, you're never stepping on toes. Keep doing that great work. Also, to the counselor there, you continue with that message, because it is only through that we live in a world of turmoil today, seemingly insurmountable, but we will get through it, and there's brighter sides. If you ever want to listen to a bright message every day of the week, you listen to President Claudia Sheinbaum Pardo from Mexico, the first female president. And the reason I say that, I could rattle off between now and the time the program ends today and next Monday and the following Monday of all of the good that's going on, that it takes just one or two people to and not back down from the fact that your values are not on the table. Your humanity is always what leads us. Conscience leads us. And she is, I'm going to rattle 4 or 5 real quick.
Go.
There's a million new homes that are being built. The infrastructure, highways, bridges, hospitals, 31 new hospitals, free care for all of the people, pensions for females that were forever saying, well, ¿qué hace la mujer? What does the female do? Nothing. She's a housewife. Well, who bears the kids? Who takes care of the kids? Who takes care of the household? Who takes care of the husband? Who takes care of the grandkids? But then we say, what does she do?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. She's just a housewife. Well, for once, females starting from the age of 60 are now getting a pension. And
Wow.
I'm so proud.
That's great.
And I can rattle off. I can go on and on and on. But that's the positive side of what's going on in our world.
Well, you know what? We need more of this. We need to highlight victories. We need to highlight successes. And why don't we do more of that? I mean, how come we just don't do more of that? I guess it's just...
Unfortunately, what pulls people to the news is the negative so often. And I love what you just shared. I had not heard any of those facts, and I'm grinning from ear to ear.
Yes.
We need to hear those things. The positive things are happening. But unfortunately, because the back of our brain is all set up for threats, and we're drawn to know what is the threat that is approaching me. And so we're sort of vigilant and extra aware of negative.
Well, stay with us, Isidro, for a moment. Miss Ann, so how does one recognize, both from I'm looking at someone and I recognize you have symptoms and you're depressed and maybe I should talk to you, or how does someone internally recognize, I'm having thoughts of, I don't know, I don't like myself anymore and I must be depressed? I mean, what are the signs and the symptoms, both viewing someone and yourself?
Yeah. So if you've got somebody in your family that is withdrawing, maybe you're noticing that their sleeping patterns have changed, their eating patterns, they're gaining weight, losing weight, they've lost interest in activities that they're typically involved with, you need to start having conversations about what's going on. Do not be afraid to bring it up. And if they say, I just feel hopeless, you need to ask, have you actually had thoughts about wanting to be off this planet? You think that you're going to implant it. That is not true. If they've had those thoughts, they've had them. You're not going to be putting them in their head. You need to know how serious this is. I mean, are they, considering suicide, for example?
And how widespread, when you think about the 1 in 5, that statistics you said at the beginning, how much is so severe it's in that depression area, would you say? Is it half of those, a third of those?
Yes. So we know about 14 million Americans have had thoughts of suicide.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, I know, Isidro, that, you've been around, you see lots of things, and I know that you're active in LULAC. What do you all do to really make sure that the community's aware of some of these issues, and how can we bridge the gap between the everyday families and getting some outside support?
Gilbert, you're throwing the ball right in my wheelhouse, and you do it basically by doing, not by saying. Tomorrow, for instance, we will be at Ellington Air Force Base. I'm picking up food for those people that have been laid off. And you would say, well, they don't need that kind of support, but they do, because what happens is, though you're in a higher bracket as far as economic is concerned, so do your ways of living. The house that you've got, it's got a higher price percentage-wise from your paycheck. So it is from paycheck to paycheck, even though they're higher. So the one thing that we want to make sure of, that we are supportive as a community of those people that are suffering from the layoffs. The next day, we're going to be at in League City in front of the VA clinic, and doing basically the same thing and supporting those people that support the hospitals, the VAs, etc., that may be needing some food. And so we're having food drives for both. You would think food drives are for the absolute desolate poor people. Well, all we have to do is just look around. The one biggest hurdle that we have is for them to step up and take what we are offering. It belongs to them. We are all neighbors, and it doesn't matter the race, the color, the creed, or whatever. They're our neighbors. Humanity tells us to do the right thing and step up and recognize all the good that they do.
Well, you just hit so many wonderful things. We really appreciate it there, Isidro. And please call in again.
God bless you
Thank
for
you so
your
much,
work.
Doctor.
And you're right. So many people live paycheck to paycheck.
I saw, thank you, Isidro. I saw, and one of these, I forgot if it was the Kinder study or Hobby, they did a poll, and they asked people, if you had an emergency for $400, could you, handle it? And it's appalling how many people cannot handle it.
Right.
And when you think about homeless, people have this thing in mind, like everyone is has a mental disorder. Well, that is true, many. But it's also true that people are living paycheck to paycheck, and sometimes if they have to, they lose a paycheck, they have nowhere else to go.
Right.
Or sometimes there may be an abusive situation in a family, and they got nowhere to go. But let's go back for a second. And so when y'all hear someone that says, I am at the bottom of my life, I just don't want to live anymore. That is so serious. Do you say, hold on, we're going to, let's call 988 together. What's this first step that y'all do there at the 281-215-9988?
So that's to find a counselor. The
Okay.
988 is for when you're in this serious place of thinking that you don't want to live anymore,
Got
right?
it.
That's where you want to go and get help. And yes, you could do that. You could call that number with the person sitting next to you,
Yep.
right? Where you're there together. You could also, say, I want to get help for you now, and I want you to be in a safe place. Would you be willing to come with me? Harris County Psychiatric Center, places like that can, take people in, give them shelter until they're no longer suicidal. So they'll give you lots of ideas on that if you call 988. But yes, do not just think, oh, they'll feel better tomorrow.
Right. Yep.
Take it seriously.
And then what about things like bipolar disorders? How common is that?
I don't know the statistics on bipolar disorder, but it's not as common as anxiety and depression. And for those of you who don't know what bipolar is, it is sort of a combination of mania, so high anxiety,
Yep.
but manic kind of stages, and that then plunges into deep depression.
Yes.
But yes, there are kids getting it. We know that kids get mental illness in their teens. It's not uncommon.
I had a friend of mine who was diagnosed with a bipolar disorder, and what I noticed about her is when she was in a good mood, the highs were so high.
Yes.
She was like floating. She was happy, but when she was in a depressed state, it was just, it would almost manifest into almost anger and almost violent almost. It was very interesting.
Yeah, it can. And what happens frequently with people who have bipolar disorder is they start feeling really good and they go off their meds. Because when they begin to feel good, they think, oh, everything's going to be fine. And then it goes crazy again.
Yep.
So you don't want, and I shouldn't use the word crazy.
No, I know what you mean.
Yeah,
You know
no,
exactly
it
what you
just
mean.
goes extreme again. I will tell you, none of us are crazy, okay? That's not a good word
That's
to ever
understood.
use. And I will tell you that anxiety can hit all of us. So you mentioned having anxiety.
Yes.
And I will tell you, my mother had panic attacks. And I thought, I'm a psychologist. I trained at U of H, UT Health Science Center, and Baylor College of Medicine. I would never have something like this. And in a year where my house flooded and my mother started having seizures and my husband was switching jobs and my kid was going to a different school and I had a bad health checkup, I had a panic attack.
I understand.
And so it can happen to anyone, okay? And there should be no stigma around it. I tell this story because when I go into the schools, I have middle schoolers and high schoolers saying to me, I've had panic attacks. That's how young it's going.
Well, it's important for people to talk about it.
Yes.
It's very important. We have another caller. Hold that thought. Is there a Diana there?
Hello.
Diana, you got me, Gilbert Garcia, with a tip from me. We're talking about mental health issues with Miss Ann Friedman, but what do you got?
Okay. First of all, I'm going to share something personal. I think that's where a lot of this doesn't, come out because people don't like talking about personal things. My mom had a very questionable death, and it was actually in the very end that they said it was suicide. To the day I die, I won't believe that, but she actually hit a trigger. It had a lot to do with loneliness. So if there was a 0.1% chance that she did do that, it would have been due to loneliness because she had everything she needed. But I'm saying that to say this. How do we handle moving forward? For example, like in the workplace, when you have a hostile work environment or discrimination in the workplace, which triggers more anxiety. And then they tell you to say something, but people are in fear of losing their jobs. So how do you handle that in a work environment?
Well, first, I'm just hugging you on the phone for what you've been going through. And so I understand. I've had, in my life, I've had 3 of my friends. The first was in high school that had took their lives. And they all for different reasons. But I always go back and think to myself, what were the signs? Did I know? Was there something I could have done? And I'm sure that's just part of the, I'm sure there's probably nothing I could do. But at the end of the day, you go through those feelings and they're in your mind. So Diana, I'm sure you have some of those feelings about, could I have recognized it or what could I have done? And I totally get it. But Miss Ann, what do you think? What do you respond to that question about what can we do in the workplace to make it a more mental health friendly workplace, I guess. And I know you didn't say that, Miss Diana, but I just use that phrase, mental health friendly, or promote a good environment for good mental health.
Yeah, and thank you for bringing that up. And again, my heart goes out to you too, no matter how your mother passed. Yes, you have employee assistance programs, but a lot of times people are afraid to use them. So many companies have them, right? But a lot of times people are afraid to use them. So they should be able to help you, talk through issues. Also human resources. And again, people are afraid to go because they're worried about retaliation. So I will tell you that I go into a lot of companies and talk about what does this company need to have a mentally healthy workforce? And it's critical because we're losing literally billions of dollars in burnout with our employees who are, calling in sick, absenteeism, working sort of half bit because they don't feel appreciated. So they're not putting in full effort and all sorts of different things. So another possibility is to suggest to your workplace that somebody like me comes in to talk and about how you can have a healthy workplace.
And do you talk, stay with us there, Miss Diana, do you talk about, do you talk to like individuals? Or you talk to like the whole company as a whole, and these are some signs to look at? I mean, what sort of...
So it's
what kind
different
you go
in
through?
different companies. I was just up for 3 days in Livingston, Texas with a company there, and I was teaching them about giving and receiving feedback and conflict in the company. So anytime that you've got somebody that is a colleague that you're not getting along with, how do we turn that page and how do we start having conversations? And so it was that kind of a training, and it was with all employees. Sometimes they bring me in for the leadership. Sometimes I'm working with a very small team that's having a problem.
Very interesting. For our firm, I know we have available mental health services through our benefits, and we have training every year. But I think more of the training, because I've obviously been through it, is much more along things like, conflict resolution is part of it, but mainly things like sexual harassment, respect, racial discrimination, that's sort of more of the angle of most of our training. We probably should lean a little bit more on the mental health side, just talking about it.
You do need to, but
Yeah.
as she said, that kind of thing does cause real frustration and anxiety. You don't want to come to work anymore. You're afraid to say anything, so it can develop into mental problems, right? Where you're down on yourself because no one likes you in the company or something like that. So yes, and we need to deal with all of it. Yeah.
Well, the one thing I'm hearing, Miss Diana, is the most important thing is we've got to be willing to talk about these things.
Yes.
It's not a good thing to keep it internalized, because that's probably going to make it worse, or keep it like just one or two people at work. I mean, you got to talk about it. So, Miss Diana, any sort of feedback you got before I go to the next caller?
Yeah, I just want to say that on that last comment, I remember when you were running for mayor, and I got to hang out with quite of those events. I remember John Whitmire said, you can't fix a problem if you don't know you have one, in reference to all the homeless. The homeless aren't homeless. Nobody woke up and said, today I want to be homeless. When I grow up, I want to be homeless. Nobody has that mindset. So the problem is fixing that first, not just putting a home or a roof over their head.
Well, one thing for sure, I can tell you this, and again, I call it like I see it, as everybody knows. He's trying. And it's kind of an uphill issue because a lot of the federal monies are now gone, and they're trying to sort of work around it and how to do it. And of course, Mr. Nichols, we've had him on the show before, and boy, is he like the right man for the job to really approach all that issue. Miss Diana, thank you for calling in. We got another caller already. Miss Ann, you got everybody lighting up today. Miss JC or JC, is that you there? JC.
Yes, sir.
JC, you got me, Gilbert Garcia, with a tip from me. We're talking with Miss Ann Friedman, and we're talking about mental health issues. What do you got for us here on this Monday morning?
Yes, sir. Hello to you and your guests. But I think I was interested in here's a fun fact for you to start off with, right?
Go.
I was doing some research on the FBI, and come to find out that the highest paid person at the FBI is a psychiatrist.
No kidding.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I just discovered that in a little research I was doing.
Huh. That's very
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, yeah. So I did want to talk about narcissistic personality disorder in the professional environment. And I want your guest to comment on this because, I've been running into this behavior, quite often out here. And so according to what I read, it promotes narcissistic personality disorder, right? It promotes confusion. It promotes marginalization. It promotes manipulation. Also, it also embodies the sin of envy. So my question deals with, everybody can recognize the flaming narcissist if they pay attention. But what about the covert narcissist? My question to your guest, since these people are hiding in plain sight, is it worth confronting them?
So I would say, first of all, a narcissistic personality disorder is an axis 2 disorder. So those are the personality disorders. And there could be many things at play. And I'm going to invite you to step back. And I see that you're perceiving that some of what this person is doing appears to be very self-focused, promoting themselves, that kind of thing. But a lot of times managers aren't taught how to manage. They're very good at what they do, and so they're promoted. But they never were given lessons in how to talk to people and how to manage people. That's also something I go in and talk to companies about. And we're messy as a species. In addition, sometimes people who really deep down feel lousy about themselves have to tell you how great they are, but that's not quite the same as a narcissistic personality disorder. That's somebody who deep down doesn't feel good, and they're trying to overcompensate by telling you all the good things about themselves. So we are very complicated, I would say, as a species, highly, the most complicated on Earth, for sure. And what we want to do is give grace. If you were to go directly talk to somebody, you would want to identify some specific incident. Like, when you said this to me, I felt a little confused because I'm wanting clarity on my job, or something like that. And then with a specific request. Rather than, you're making all of us confused and whatever. If we speak in generalities, it does not help people. They get very defensive. It's that back part of the brain. It's another threat. So specifics is the only way to deal with it.
JC, hopefully that makes some sense for you. You got a follow-up or anything there for us, my friend?
No, I'll accept that observation. But when it comes to the media, I think more and more people are starting to agree with Malcolm X that the media is a wolf dressed up in priest clothing. And it takes quite a bit of discernment when you taking in this information.
Well, Mr. JC, thank you so much for calling. Please call in again.
No doubt.
Thank you, my friend. And, of course, everyone, the call number is, need to say it today, which is great, 832-570-8075. We got another caller here. Is there a Natalia there?
Hi, Gilbert. I have a question for your guest.
You got it.
So earlier you guys talked about how technology, how it caused a disconnect between people. And I just wanted to talk a little bit more on that. How do you think that we can set healthy boundaries online without feeling disconnected, whether it's at work or with our own personal network? How should we go about that?
Well, I'm going to let Miss Ann answer that, but I will say this. Number one, no phones at the table. That's a good one. Believe me, that's done wonders for my family. The other is, you got to teach your kids. You got to talk to your kids, parents, and make sure they know to be careful with that internet. Because the whole thing about bullying, and then you start feeling bad about yourself, you got to be careful. Don't be the bullier. And, of course, if you're being bullied, you got to say something. But, Ann, you're the expert. Well, thank you for that. Thank you, studio audience. But you're the expert there. So what do you say to that question?
Well, I ditto just what you said for
Okay.
sure. And what you do need to do is educate kids, because they don't realize that what they're seeing is not the full spectrum of reality. So first of all, they're often seeing airbrush pictures of other girls in particular, of other girls that don't look like that.
Right.
And then they're seeing people post only the happy moments of their lives. And they're thinking, this person's so happy and I'm not. What's wrong with me? When in fact, that person is not happy all the time. Not what anybody on this planet is, right? We all have ups and downs. And they're not posting that moment of despair online. And you need to teach your kids that what they're seeing is not reality. And it's going to get harder even with AI, because then we're not going to even know
Right.
if the video is real that's been created.
Well, there was an old rock band called Styx, and they had a real famous album and a song called The Grand Illusion.
Yeah.
And it was all about, the story was deep. So if you think your life is a complete confusion because you think your neighbor's got it made, just remember it's a grand illusion, because deep inside we're all the same. That was some of the lyrics to the song. Well, you know what? Thank you, Natalia. Do you have any follow-up there for us?
No, I think I'm good. That was very insightful. Thank you so much for helping me out there.
Well, thank you for so much. And you know what, Miss Ann, you know, there's that old Carol Burnett show. Remember Carol Burnett?
Yeah, I loved her.
Me too. Me too. And I would watch it late at night, and they had that whole thing where it says, I'm so glad we had this time together. Remember that?
Yep.
To have a live sing a song. And just before you know it, comes a time we got to say so long. It's been an hour.
Yes, I can't believe it.
Can you
This has
believe-
gone so fast.
And you probably were thinking, boy, what the heck am I going to talk to this Garcia guy for an hour? But you know what? It goes.
It goes fast.
It goes. And you know what? We probably could have done a whole nother hour. And I'm going to give you the last few minutes. We got about 3 minutes, and you're going to talk to Houston, Harris County right there. And of course, you're going to be talking to all of our TV stations: Comcast 97, AT&T 99, Phonoscope 96, Suddenlink 99, HMSTV.org, and of course, our radio partners: KWWJ, KYOK, KCOH, Latino Sports, and Sangeet Radio, and of course, all the social media. Because whenever I'm hungry, I go to Taqueria Laredo. Of course, it's Laredo Taqueria, but for me, it's just one word: Taqueria Laredo. It has the best food, and I'm not kidding. If you haven't been there, you gotta go. And you know what? Tell them that Gilbert sent you. And that's a tip from Gilbert said to go get some carne guisada, because it's the best in Houston. But and after all of that, I mean, you got the last word here. What do you want to say in Houston, Harris County? And go through again, if you don't mind, the phone number, the website. How can people get help? And what can they do if they see loved ones? And how can they help them without crossing that line? You know how it's so easy to cross the line, and all of a sudden your loved one feels like you're attacking me. Oh, you think you're better than me. Oh, you're judging me. How do you help? How do you help? So it's all you.
Yes. So, first of all, as a psychologist, I admitted to you that I had 2 panic attacks in 2006. I got help. I have never had another one. So I do that to tell people, no matter what is going on with you, help is available. And Mental Health America is here to assist you. We talked about the line that you can connect with, which is our Care Connect, to find therapists of all races, of all religions, who specialize in all different kinds of mental disorders. And some of them will take which insurances they take, and then again, some will do sliding fee scale or pro bono if you're unable to pay. We also have mental health screenings for you. Where you can take a screening. Do I really have an issue? I'm having these kind of heart palpitations. Does it meet the criteria for full-blown, panic attack or generalized anxiety disorder? The phone number for that Care Connect, again, is 281-215-9988. We have workplace wellness programs that I do, and I would love to have your workplace call me to come work with its management, with specific teams, or with your entire workforce. Another thing that we offer there are veterans programs, and I haven't had a chance to mention those today, but we have 2 people on staff that answer calls for veterans 24/7. So if you are a veteran and you are in crisis, you can also call our veterans group there to work with you. And they also meet with veterans in churches and all over Houston. So we've got programs there as well. Please call Mental Health America of Greater Houston or find us on our website, on the internet. We are here to serve you. Get help. And if you are in extreme crisis, call 988. Please call 988.
All right, Houston, this is Gilbert Garcia with a tip from me saying, if you got an issue, please get help, because guess what? We're all the same. Yeah. And you heard it from a regular Gilbert. I also have had high anxiety. I also have to make sure my wife drives when I'm out of town, or we go to a restaurant that I don't know. And you know what? It's all part of who we are. And it's part of, our genes, our parents, it's all part of it. So it doesn't mean I'm better. It doesn't mean I'm worse. It just means that I am me. And the Lord loves me, and so do you. Got to love yourself. So everybody, this is Gilbert Garcia saying we'll see you next time. All right, Houston, Harris County, this is Gilbert Garcia of A Tip from Gilbert, Talk, Inspiration, and Prayer. We're going to now be on television. We will air every Saturday on Comcast 17, AT&T Channel 99, Phonoscope Channel 96, Suddenlink 99, and also hmstv.org. Every new episode every Saturday at 7 p.m. And follow me on social media. See you then.